first thing I'll say to him, he'll be playing the Beastie Boys. Not like the hip-hop Beastie Boys, but back when they used to be punk rock. You know, they used to have the old punk rock album. So listen to the Beastie Boys punk rock album, and I'll pop that tape out, grab it, and say, dude, man, these guys are a bunch of Jews, man. I'll throw it right out the fucking window on them. And he'll be like, yo, that's my tape, you know? And I'll say, here, I have a tape for you, and I'll pull out like some Screwdriver or some white supremacist music, some Oi music, whatever. Some skinhead stuff. And I'll say, here's just my tape, you can have it. You know, if you don't ever put that shit back in your car, you can have my tape. Pop it in. And then I'll say, man, you know, I have an old pair of Doc Martens. You can have them, but they won't fit your feet with that hair on your head. You know, next day that kid will show up with a shaved head. You know, and I'll say, all right, you know, get him an old pair of Docs. So he wants to belong. So once he gets into the look of it, which is most high schools, is, you know, it's a fashion or a look. Now I start saying, well, this is what you have to believe, and they want to believe it already. You know? So now our biggest ally steps in, and some people will say, some people I've heard say, is it Nike sneakers that finances these movements? Is it Nintendo, Marlboro cigarettes, Newports? I've heard it all. Do they support this movement? And no, it's all bullshit. It's just all rumor and lies that just they start. Who really support us and love us the most is your local newspapers, the local media. They eat this shit up. You know what I mean? If you're reading, I don't know what the Washington paper is, but you know, you read about new traffic lights going in, or skinheads march in downtown Washington. You're gonna pick it up. You're gonna buy it. Like, what the fuck is going on? And I'll give you an example of how much media loves racism, and you don't know it, but I'm just gonna give you a good example. Throughout, on special, let's use the three major, NBC, ABC, CBS. These three channels, at certain times during the night, after the primetime era kind of dies off and kids go to bed or however they want to play it, after 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, they're allowed to start saying curses again. You'll start hearing, like, you know, on CSI or whatever, they'll say shit and ass and whatever else. They start to allow and lighten up on what censorship is. But there's one word that's never been banned. And it's the only time I'll ever say this word, and it's not, I'm just trying to, is the word nigger. Because when you hear that, you stop. You're going to stop. If you're flipping through, and I'll go right back to an old cracker dude is saying that word, you're going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? I got to stop and listen to this, you know? So, two things that TV cameras love, the ghetto and racism. So, racism sells. It's a hot button topic. And so the local newspaper gets a hold of me. They say, hey, what are you doing here at Lincoln School? What's going on? And I say, well, we're just aggressively recruiting here right now. We think this is the prime area. You don't say anything about the gangs being here, and we're anti-drugs. And I have to say that again because especially here on the East Coast, no drugs are allowed in the movement. It's mostly all drinking, but we did not allow drugs. If you did drugs, you were banned from the movement or worse. So, you know, we try and make the stand like we're drug-free. You know, we drink like fucking fishes, but we drink every night, but we don't do any drugs. And you know, so the media, okay, and they'll write that in there. They're drug-free, so that looks really good. It's good marketing. And now they'll write these articles about me. So now the normie kids at the school, jocks, preps, and even the gangbangers are like, damn, that guy's in the paper, so they want to come talk to me. So what I did is I started getting a lot of recognition as being this head guy, and it never was anointed, you are the head guy, but if you ever read the newspaper articles from back then, or what happens next kind of proves it, is I went to the local cable access channel, and I got me on the cable access show to recruit off of. And I don't know if they have a cable access channel here, I'm sure they do somewhere. Anyone can get a cable access show. You don't have to talk about anything of any relevance. You can put a camera, you can paint that wall, and put a camera on the wall after you paint it and have a show about paint drying. And they gotta let you have it. Or you can put it on your grass and let your grass grow and have a show like legal grass and say, here's my Kentucky bluegrass it's growing and I wanna have a show about it growing. So you can do that. So we went there, we said we wanna have a show about being skinheads and recruiting for movement, and we called it the Reich. So there's no questions what we're gonna talk about. You know, like Hitler's Reich and the Third Reich. So we have this show, and now again the local media step in and they do this big, now of course there's also your TV, but the newspaper is legitimizing us so much because they do a big Sunday article about us and it says, if you want to know more about Mr. Meenk's organization, watch his television show at 4:30 on Wednesdays. Now in my life, for the last 3 years, I worked in marketing for hockey teams and community development. I couldn't pay for that marketing right there. That's the best marketing you can get is a newspaper legitimize you, right? So everything for me as a skinhead leader is going good. There's this one kind of left-wing guy that kind of is on the fringe of us. He's what they call a SHARP, S-H-A-R-P, he's a skinhead against racial prejudice. We call them communist skinheads, you can call them whatever you want, they just weren't us. So he hung out with a girl we knew, and we didn't like that, so my roommate and him had some dealings, and that's his story, not mine, but I just never liked the guy, so on Christmas Eve we called him up and faked like we were having a big skinhead Christmas party. You know, all skinheads are welcome, you know. And he shows up and there's no party. It's just me and my roommate, and we pull out a 12-gauge shotgun and we kidnap him. And we just beat this man for hours. And it's in dispute through people, but it was in between 12 and 8 hours is what we know. I was drinking a lot that night, but I know it was definitely in morning time when we let him go. And we had done a lot of damage to him, and we videotaped the whole thing as a joke. So, of course, we showed this to a bunch of our new recruits on the next day after Christmas, and said, look at this, look what we did, and it was a big joke. And a couple of them were kind of informants, so of course they went to the cops. Plus, this kid's in the hospital for what we did to him. So they have an arrest warrant out for my arrest. And I show up one day at the next taping of my TV show, because I had been hiding out, and I figured I was smarter than the cops. They wouldn't think I'd be at my TV show. And of course, when I get there, there's all these undercover cops, and they arrest me, and they take me to jail. I'm one of them people that you always have heard that debate about, should you treat juveniles as adults when they commit hard enough crimes? I was 17, so I was right on the fringe anyway, and unanimously, the people who were voting on it for me, all of them said, this guy needs to fucking go to jail. He's not a juvenile anymore. And so I went to the county jail for 6 months, waiting trial, where the first 5 months I waited in the Supermax part. Now the county jail in Springfield is the capital of Illinois too, so they also send all their federal inmates there because that's where the big courthouse is. So St. Louis and a lot of Chicago guys and all of them get sent there to be held to wait trial. So it's a huge jail. It's not like just some county little county jail. So they put me in the Supermax part, and I don't say that to be like a tough guy because a lot of people think, oh, that's bad, but Supermax just means they never let you out of your cell. The only time they will is if there's nobody else out of their cell. So there's about 20 cells, and if one guy's out of his cell taking a shower or using the phone, nobody else is, because they don't want no human contact with each other. So it's not like I'm a tough guy being in there. It's just where they put you to protect you and protect other inmates. And being so young, they thought it'd be a good idea to keep me in there. They found out in one of the stories I didn't tell you guys, I escaped from a mental institution in Indiana one time, and they had heard about my escape from the mental institution, so they knew that I was troubled. So I'm in the cell block. What they did was they would come around with books once a week or sometimes every other week, and they'd always have like a lot of religious books on the cart, and you reach your hand out the little, they open up a little slot, and you reach your hand out, and you can kind of look through your little mirror, your little glass, and pick a book. And you know to start grabbing thick books because they're going to last you either a week or 2 weeks. So I'd always grab like the Bible, and I'd always say, oh no, it's the Bible's fault, I'm in this trouble, I was Christian identity.